You know, it's easy sometimes to like forget our humble cinematic beginnings in a world full of subversive scripts, complicated narratives, fancy schmancy writing and directing, and deep, meaningful stories. It's nice to just be able to kind of sit down and just watch something simple.
I don't know if you're brave or crazy.
Give me a hug, Coach!
But I know this is your shot at being champions.
And today we have Champions. And today we have Champions. Funny enough, I don't think I would have ended up watching this film of my own volition. Regal does once a month, they do a mystery movie. I've only missed one so far due to some other scheduling conflicts with friends, but normally it's a fun little thing that you can do. Again, this is like free promotional material for Regal, but literally it's once a month. It's usually on a Monday night. It's like $5 a pop, and you basically get to see a movie early access, but it's a mystery. Half of them have been Apple TV originals, or just an early release of that, so we thought, oh, they're just pulling from that for streaming. But one that we missed was a movie called Missing, which actually was a wide release, and this one, it turns out, is also going to be you know, a wide, not really a blockbuster per se, but also wide release. Mystery movie that we saw was Champions. I saw the trailer for this once in theaters prior to this. I'm not gonna lie, the trailer didn't hook me. It looked kind of just okay. Like one of those movies where it can go either direction, you know? It could either be a charming, funny, little heartfelt film, or just like a meh kind of film. So I didn't really have any plans to see it. The trailer didn't grab me, but here I was sitting down, and you know, I'm not gonna walk out of this. I was like, you know what, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna go through it. I did not realize this until I did a research afterwards. Champions is directed by a Bobby Farrelly, who is a name that I don't recall hearing about him, but he's a real who's who of like most of the popular comedies of our day, just in terms of some of the ones that stood out to me. There's Something About Mary, he directed that. What else was there? Osmosis Jones, which is one of I love Osmosis Jones. It can be a little bit corny sometimes, but I really enjoy Osmosis Jones. And even one that I think is mildly problematic nowadays, but I remember as a kid, it instilled some moral value in me somehow, but there was Shallow Hal. Granted, he's directed many more aside from those, but those were a few of the standouts of ones that I personally recall that he's directed. Star power for this, you have the main star, Woody Harrelson. I love Woody Harrelson. Whether he's in something really good, okay, even bad, I mean, it's Woody Harrelson. Like, he's not exactly a zaddy per se, but I mean, he's charming. I don't know what it is about that damn smile, but whenever he gets that little, like, it's just like the cheeks get round and rosy, and you got the little toothy grin and all this. Like, I don't know. I like Woody Harrelson. I think he's usually really good in whatever he's doing. We have Caitlin Olsen, who I felt like an idiot. For some reason, I did not recognize her until, again, after I did the research, and my friends told me, but she's, Always Sunny in Philadelphia? That's kind of what got her popular, right? I know she's been in other stuff aside from that, but I feel like that's like the main thing that people would know her from. And I feel downright ashamed. Apparently, Mike Smith, aka Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys, was in this, and I missed the cameo. Long story short, Champions is a sports film. Sports films, it's an added challenge to get my interest, because I don't know if you know this about old MovieMan here, I don't give a shit about sports. I get it. The same way that I feel about cinema, I know a lot of people don't give a shit about movies. Cinema is my football, I don't know how you want to put it. Whenever it comes to sports out there, it's not my thing. Sometimes it's fun to watch like athletic competitions, like UFC is fun, American Ninja Warrior, Knife or Death, or whatever the Netflix, whatever it is. I don't know. There's some fun athletic-based stuff I like watching, but when it comes to the core sports, I could give a rat's ass about it. So there's an added challenge for me. It's like, okay, sports film, you really got to draw me in. There's some great sports movies out there that I honestly enjoy. Stuff like, Ford versus Ferrari? I don't care about racing, really. That made me interested because it was a fantastic film. Even like, Queen's Gambit, right? Chess, Queen's Gambit. I didn't really care about chess. Queen's Gambit got me caring about chess. the point being is there are sports movies that exist out there. It doesn't matter if it's about sports or not. If you make me care about it and entice me with a good narrative and characters and story and all that, then I'm going to be along for the ride. Long story short, Woody Harrelson was like a basketball coach, but he's one of those, he's in his older age, he's gotten like gruff, he's very argumentative, combative, it's like his way or the highway. He's not really like a complete asshole about it, but he can be kind of a dick, and he's a little rough around the edges. So he gets into a squabble during a game where he's not even the main coach, he's like assistant basically or something like that, and then right afterwards gets a DUI. And instead, it's either go to prison or the judge says, hey, you do have experience, I know you've been a really good coach, you're a dick, but tell you what, if you go volunteer for like 90 days at the community service center over here, basically coaching these people with like mental disabilities or like basically people that are on the spectrum more or less. Like you go coach these guys in basketball, 90 days, you get off scot-free. So begrudgingly, he goes over to do it. And then, I mean, you can kind of piece together the film from there. And then what? Caitlin Olsen is like a Tinder date that he has at one point, and then she ends up being like the sister of one of these guys that he's coaching, which from the trailer made it seem problematic, but they handled it a little bit better than I thought they would. First and foremost, I love to see people on the spectrum get more serious roles in media, like television, film, just like representation. I'm always getting on my soapbox about representation, both in terms of like race, gender, sexuality, equality, different disabilities and all that, whether it's someone that's like deaf or blind, or in this case on the spectrum, anything like that. I think it's great. I love it. One of my favorite media pieces out there, one of my favorite shows out there on Netflix anyway, is Love on the Spectrum. I like people on the spectrum. They're just, you have all this societal nonsense that people like me, these like the sarcastic assholes out there that are like really socially adept and quick-witted and all that. You have people like me that are putting on all these layers and ruses and trying to mask and trying to navigate your way through these waters and navigate the culture that surrounds my generation. It's a nightmare, and it's sometimes so fake and toxic. And then you have people that are just, in my opinion, my hots on the spectrum, just unapologetically genuine themselves. They're not hiding anything. They're at the core almost more human than we are. They're people, and they're just a little bit different, and they just got little, like, they all developed a little differently. It's a spectrum for a reason, and I don't know, there's something just genuine and pure about it. And I've never met someone who's on the spectrum and who is actively or even passively malicious. It's not a thing I've ever encountered. I don't think it exists. There was concern going into this that it was going to be maybe like a little bit exploitative, or that it was going to be in poor taste, but you know what? No, I feel like they handled this pretty well. I would even say very well in spots. It was handled very well. Like I already said about Woody Harrelson, I always enjoy him in whatever he's in, even if he is given a lackluster script, even if his character is a little bit on the hokey side, or playing a character archetype. He does it well. For me, he's charming. I like him, so he was great. Honestly, the cast in general were like, they were good. They were either good or they were great. Well, in terms of all the basketball on the spectrum kids that were being coached and all that, and they were part of this film, they were all charming in their own right. They all were different identifiable characters with characteristics and quirks, and they were all great. I liked them all. What I liked about this was that it was just a nice, relatively simple story. Some of the cons I have aren't necessarily bad cons, because they'll get in more into the story as well, but like, I don't know. It's one thing to have a really shitty bad story. It's another just to have one that's, you know, there's nothing crazy coming at you around the corner. It's gonna be, again, simple in execution and everything, but just, it works. The film plays it safe, but it plays it safe fairly well, and just kind of has that vibe of like, look, you know, it's not going to be a comedic masterpiece with subversive material and very deep writing, but it's simple, it's good, it's nice, it's heartwarming in places, it's pretty funny throughout. It just works. The main cons that I have that kind of do affect the quality of it overall, but I mean, again, it's just me holding the film accountable the same way I would any other film. It is formulaic. it is very formulaic. Like, you know how it's gonna go. You know when all the highs and the lows are coming, when all the, like, the surprises, or the how could you do this, or oh, he's gonna say something and they're gonna get mad and he's gonna win back their trust. It's formulaic in terms of the first, second, and third act, you know, rising action, climax, like all the narrative structure. Nothing is being turned on its head here. It's simple, but because it's simple and because it's executed fairly well in its simplicity, it's effective. And the script is just okay. It's not a bad script. There's some kind of bad script moments, a kind of forced exposition, and there's some like information that's ham-handedly put across, and there's some hijinks that ensue in the film that you question the legality, and you know, there's not always logic to follow. This ain't no Casablanca. It's just a simple, like, what you think would be a straight to streaming movie, but is getting a decent release with a couple big names attached to it, some good representation. It's a sports movie, so you know, Americans can flock to it. And overall, I mean, the audience we were with that didn't know they were going to go see it, they were very supportive. People in our audience, I did not expect this. People in our audience were like hooting with laughter and cheering in spots. They were cheering for the guys on screen. And you know what? That was nice. It's nice to hear that outside of a Marvel film. It was charming. I was taken in empathetically, me, an empath, feeling their charm. I don't know, I was feeling generous. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna give Champions a 3 out of 5 and call it average, but I gotta admit, like, it has its charm. I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again. Did it need to be 2 hours? I don't know about that. I mean, I feel like an hour 30, hour 45 might have been more apropos, but I don't think it really overstays its welcome. To be fair, the film does have a little bit of subversion of expectation in a couple moments. There's a couple moments where we knew what was going to happen, but we didn't know what was going to happen or how it was going to happen. So, I don't know. Like I said, I keep saying the same buzzwords over and over again, but end of the day, Champions, I would give a high 3 out of 5. I think with the heart put in, the representation, and the story is just enough to put this film above average. Like, is it going to make my top 10? Almost certainly not. But did I dislike it? No. It had its charm, its quirks. The cast was, you know, fairly good. I love seeing people on the spectrum like involved in anything media related. They're always, I don't want to say fun to watch. That makes it kind of sound like condescending. I enjoy seeing the representation. End of the day, I like seeing people interact. I like seeing them interact with each other. I like seeing people that weren't on the spectrum interact with them. It made them just endearing. You wanted to root for them. You wanted them to succeed. You cared about and at the same time, they were just people too. Like, they had their own shit going on, their own emotional problems and like strife in life, and it highlighted that. It was funny throughout in a lot of moments. I laughed out loud a surprising amount of times, and I gotta say, I'm glad that I saw it. I wouldn't have seen it if it hadn't been for this mystery movie premiere, and I'm glad that I did. It's worth your time. I don't know if I'd say go see it in theater, but 100% watch it, rent it, stream it at home when you get a chance in the coming months. You're in for at least a fun little movie night, or even maybe a family movie night if you're feeling kind of risque. But that's all I gotta say about Champions. That's my review on it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever I do next. And goodbye, travelers.